Welcome to the Just Live podcast. I'm your host, Olivia Stevens, and I'm inviting you in on my personal journey of learning and discovering how to live a life with more connection, joy, and purpose. I'll be sitting down with people from all walks of life to dive into topics including trauma, mental health, mindfulness, the nuances of love and relationships, and much more. I hope these conversations empower you to expand on what serves you, release what doesn't, and just live. Welcome back to the Just Live podcast. I'm your host, Olivia Stevens, and here we are, another day. It's still January. Let's see. I really didn't know what I wanted to talk about today, but I set a goal this year that I was going to put out a podcast episode every single week, and I'm going to do my best to stick with that. And sometimes that means putting out some solo episodes. So here we are. One thing I can talk about that happened today is I ran into my ex this morning. So we all know that can be a very interesting encounter, can bring up a lot. And so my ex and I do not speak to each other. A few months ago, I was probably like sometime in August, I actually saw him at my gym. So we go to the same gym, but we don't. So the gym that we go to has several locations, and the one that he normally goes to is very close to his house out in the county, like 30 minutes away. And I go to the location that's in the city. So I don't ever see him at the one in the city because he doesn't live in the city. But this particular day in August, I guess he was down in the city and I saw him from a distance and I had the most visceral reaction. My heart started racing. I was like shaking. I was like trying to calm myself down, but I couldn't stop. Tears like welling up in my eyes. Like it felt like I was like going into what felt like a panic attack. My chest was like tightening. I felt like I couldn't breathe. I had to go upstairs into this quiet yoga room to try and collect myself. And I had a really hard time doing that because it just felt like all the energy and the emotion in my body was like taking over my mind. I couldn't rationalize with myself and be like, you're okay, you're safe. I mean, I definitely tried to incorporate some sort of practice in that sense of, talking to myself and trying to create a sense of safety within my body. But I just felt so overcome with emotion, and my body just felt like it was like a stress response. It was like a trauma response. It was this like fight or flight. Like you feel it in your body, and it was very unpleasant. And so that was back in August. And I remember, talking to my friends and feeling so frustrated with myself. Like, it's been a year. Why am I reacting this way? When I see this person, it just felt very disempowering. But a lot of friends and other people that I turned to for advice were very validating and had said that they would probably react in a similar way, even seeing an ex that they had been apart from for several years, and that the reaction is normal and you experienced the trauma within that relationship, and the relationship itself at times probably felt traumatic, and so your body was responding to that, and you left this person because you felt an emotional like unsafety, and you felt like you couldn't trust this person, and your body's responding to that. So anyway, I'm sitting on the leg press machine and I look up and my ex is just walking, past me, and I was like, oh, there he is in my head. And I think I like waved a little, and I think he waved back. I honestly don't remember, but I know we acknowledged each other. It wasn't like, hey buddy, what's up? But we both saw each other. And I'm actually really grateful for that encounter because I didn't have this visceral reaction like I did back in August. I I felt my heart rate elevate a little bit, which I think is to be expected, especially someone that you haven't seen hardly at all since you broke up, and someone that you don't speak to. So it's kind of like there isn't this like exposure therapy, like you're constantly seeing them or talking to them. And so, look, you're not around them and your body isn't used to their presence. So I did feel a little bit of a response to seeing him, but it wasn't anything like what happened in August. I didn't feel like I was going to start crying. I didn't feel like I couldn't breathe. And actually, prior to leaving, I went up and I said, "How are you doing?" And we caught up for just a few minutes. And after leaving the gym, I did kind of like get into my car and was just like, had to breathe for a minute, had to kind of process it. But I just realized, like, wow, look at how much growth you're witnessing in yourself from that experience in August when you saw him to now. Your body isn't responding nearly as much as it did back then. And I think that that's a big testament to the work that I've been putting in my healing process. So I felt incredibly like proud today that, it's certainly taken some time to move through this process of healing and grieving and moving forward. But I feel today I finally was able to experience and witness a lot of the growth and a lot of the strides that I've made, even in the last few months. And obviously time is part of the equation, but I think there is more to it than just that. And I think, continually working through what I'm experiencing and feeling and giving myself the opportunity when I am experiencing things to sit with it or unpack it and kind of understand what it is, and to give myself kind of the spaciousness to like lean into whatever it is I'm feeling has really helped me move forward. And I feel like now my body and my mind can be okay with the presence of somebody because I've done the work to kind of heal from the lingering emotions and the heartbreak and the grief that's come from that breakup. I think a lot of times too, when it comes to running into an ex, I think we like ruminate and kind of build up this moment in time where we're going to like run into them and it's going to be this like aha closure moment, and it's not. And it's funny because, you build somebody up so much in your mind. And I think after a breakup, it's normal to miss certain things about someone or just remember the good times that you had. And, I felt like I was sad for a really long time after the breakup. And I think two things: you kind of idolize this person and you miss all the good times, even if it wasn't what was best serving you at the time. Like even if there was a relationship that made you, not feel 100% your best, or maybe didn't feel like it was truly the right thing for you, I think you still kind of leaving that relationship think that that's all there is. And, you kind of idolize and romanticize like what was and the person that you were with. But I think at a certain point there's like a shift. Your reality kind of clicks back in and your perspective allows you to really see the bigger picture and to kind of remember again, there were things that didn't make me happy and there were circumstances that didn't feel right and situations that were just really hard to deal with and that didn't feel aligned. So I think with time, those kind of become clear again to you, and it just makes you really grateful. Everything happens, I believe, for a reason. And it makes you grateful for, kind of the new opportunity at another chapter, and a new opportunity for kind of your next steps, and really the slate is completely clean for you, and you have a chance to find something or create something again with somebody that feels really right, now that you've done so much work on yourself and you understand, what it is that you really want, and you understand more about yourself. So the more you understand about yourself, I think the greater opportunity you have to really find and connect with somebody that truly aligns with who you are, like authentically as a person. And the relationship isn't coming from a place of need or a place of lack or a place of insecurity, or a place of unworthiness. It's coming from, this place where you truly feel whole within yourself. You know who you are, you know what you value, and you can attract somebody like that, and you can create a connection that is really like uplifting and supportive and aligns with who you are and where you're going. If anybody is still kind of in the midst of like a healing process, I just encourage you to continue really doing a lot of self-inquiry and self-discovery, and just understanding your patterns and your attachment, and where that can come from, so you can kind of heal and keep moving forward and growing into yourself and the person that you want to be. That's really the best thing that you can do. I think we all have that moment. Like, you ever could go through a breakup and you like, I know at some point I'm going to run into this person. I don't know when and I don't know where, but I know it's going to happen. And you're just like, what am I going to look like? What am I going to be wearing? Blah, 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 blah. What are they going to say? What are they going to do? How am I going to feel? And then when it happens, you're just like, okay, whatever. I'm glad that's over with. I think sometimes we build these things up in our head, and I think for me, I don't know if it wasn't so much built up in my head, but I think the experience of seeing him the last time and how strongly my body reacted just like made me like really worried about the next time, like when and if there was going to be another time that I was going to run into him, and oh my gosh, am I going to have a breakdown in the gym again? Am I going to have to go up to the yoga room and cry? But no, I'm so glad that I realized there's been a lot of growth and healing since that last time, because you just feel stronger. You feel stronger, and you feel like you have more agency, and you feel you're more connected. You feel safe within yourself. You feel more secure, and it's like, okay. And then it's like no big thing. There's always room to continue to heal and grow, but to realize all of the growth that you've already gone through. And sometimes it takes an experience like that to realize it and to be like, oh, okay, maybe this doesn't hurt so much as I thought it did anymore. Maybe this isn't weighing on me as much as I've been thinking that it has. And it kind of gives you an opportunity to release a little bit more and to like let go. So for that, I am very grateful. I don't know how else I feel. I think I feel relieved. I'm like, okay, like no big deal. You realize you're less and less affected by what you went through, and you can just kind of handle it and move on. And it feels good to just kind of feel a little less connected to that person, and just kind of, like, okay, I am okay. He's moved on with his life, and he's doing his thing and living his story, and I'm writing mine, and it feels really good. And I'm thankful. And life goes on. So anyway, with that, I think I'm going to sign off here. Thank you for listening. If any of you have ever had a weird or interesting encounter running into an ex, feel free to share it with me because I'd love to hear your stories. Yeah, that's that. I will talk to you next week. If you haven't already, please follow the podcast on any of the Spotify. Please follow the podcast on any of the streaming services. If you could subscribe to the YouTube channel, that would be incredible. Give it a like, leave a comment. That's how I grow. And as always, thank you so much for giving this a listen. I appreciate it. And I will talk to you later. Bye.